welcome to my channel. My name is Diamond and this is the first of what I hope are many writing vlogs. So I am in the process of writing a fantasy novel and I got inspired by Lascelle Sandbury. She's the author of Blood Like Magic and Blood Like Fate. Basically, Lascelle, she has a YouTube channel and for every one of her books, she has documented her process from outlining to debut day of each of her novels. Yeah, I don't know, I thought that was really such a cool idea, so cool and inspiring to as an author to have this documentation of you're starting with an idea to see the book really come to life over the course of how many days it takes you to write it. I think it would be really cool to come back to this video and see the beginning of it. So a little bit about the book. It is a high fantasy book. I am planning it as a trilogy. Why did I pick a trilogy as my first book ever? I have no idea. The story felt like it needed to be a trilogy. I don't know what that means, but the idea that I have in my head, it feels like it needs to be over a course of several books. Maybe it'll be a duology, but I am thinking that it's going to be a trilogy. So I'm really excited about this book. It is just to give you a little insight, I've said that it's a high fantasy book, so there's a whole world that I have to create, essentially characters, creatures, different cultures for the world that I'm creating. And I think the unique thing about the book, I'm gonna be honest, the plot, like the very bare bones basic plot of it probably is like really, it's basic. It's really the main character goes on a journey to get something. That is the basic plot of it. I know it's very basic, I understand this, but what's really going to be unique about it is, one, that it is written from the I cannot deal with them. It is written from the villain's perspective. So I'm looking at my outline right now. I have my computer right here, and so what I've done so far is that I went through, oh my goodness, when I sat down to outline the book, I realized that for me to feel comfortable writing the book, I'm going to have to plot and plan a lot of it before I get into the creative process of writing it. That's just what I feel comfortable doing. So let me show you what my outline looks like, kind of. So this is what my outline looks like. We have one-liner, synopsis, research, characters. There are actually character names right here. I just made them white so you couldn't see. Under this is like secondary characters, world building. Again, there's information right here, but it's a secret, so I made it invisible. Geology and creatures, and that's really all the outline that I have fleshed out so far. Okay, so yeah, that is my outline. So going through each one of those, so my one-liner was just a one line of what the plot is, the bare bones plot. Character does this to get this. That was it. My synopsis was next, and so that was when I did like a one-page, just really pumping out the plot beats, the main beats of what I wanted to happen in this first book. So I've completed both of those. Then I went on to my research phase, which for this book there is an element of our real world that I took, and I'm using that as the main theme of the new world that I've created. So I had to do a lot of research of this actual real thing in our world, and I'm not gonna lie, the research was interesting for some parts and really dull for some other parts. If I kind of did just like a base overview of this real thing in our world, I probably would not have gotten some of the real good like gem ideas that I did when I really delved into the research. So I'm really actually glad that I did that part. Oh, okay, and so with this research that I was doing, I basically just opened a Word document and I info dumped. It was just bullet points, and every time I discovered something, I would bullet point it, and just kept going like that. It was just info dumping everything. And then once I felt like I had a good amount of research because I was really excited to actually start like building the world and diving deeper into the story. I am using Campfire. So Campfire, I would describe it, it's similar to Scrivener. It allows you to plot your story and plan it in a really concise and cool way, especially for the way my brain works. So now I went through and I might show you too, like an overview of what my Campfire looks like, but I might have to blur some things out because there's a lot of spoilers in there already. Okay, so this is what my Campfire looks like. Just like I have said, I think it's really similar to Scrivener. You have places where you can write your characters, manuscript, locations, timelines. You can do your magic system, the species and cultures in the book. So this is a really good way to keep everything organized for your book. So as you saw on my outline, I had research, characters, and then world building. So my initial thought process was that I was going to do characters first and then world building. And within that world building, I was going to do the magic system. Now, as I was doing my research and like really diving into what I was learning about from the real world, it became apparent. So like I said, I want this to be a character-driven story, and the characters are born with their magic. Okay, so the magic system is very important to who the characters are, their flaws, their misbeliefs, their driving factors, and it's really important for the world that I'm building. And so I kind of switched it around a little, and so I'm doing the magic system, characters, and then world building. And so I'll say this about developing the magic system. The magic in my book, it is a hard magic. So what I've done already is how do I explain this? Okay, so in the book there are, just like in the real world, there are different cultures in the book. And so each culture in my book have different magical abilities, right? So what I've done is I've gone through and I've created magic abilities for each one of the cultures. I've done that, which was really exciting, really fun, trying to really understand who the culture is, their contribution to society, and how their magic fits into their world as a whole. So I've done that, which was really rewarding. I will say it was really rewarding because I felt like it all made sense. But like I said, this is a hard magic system, so just creating the magic abilities is not enough. I actually have to go through and kind of flesh out, like, what are the limitations on the magic? What are the rules? How does magic affect the people, the world itself, society? Are there any magic that's forbidden? That's what I'm working on today, and I am not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to putting limitations on my magic. If I made one of the cultures be able to fly, I want them to be able to fly anywhere in the world, and I don't want them to have any limitations. But I know that that does not make for a really good book. If magic can solve all of the problems, then like what's the use, you know? So right now I'm here with my magic systems, and so I just have like the powers overview, and I'm not going to click into this because the folders are titled information that would give away what the book is about. Okay, so I am currently in my kitchen because I need a snack. I worked on a good little bit of fleshing out the magic system. I figured out my source, so I figured out where they get their magic abilities from. So like I said, they are born with it, but it's really more like the origin of magic. That's the best I can explain it. Yeah. I also worked out certain objects that have magic and, you know, like enhancing magic that way. And I am now I left off on doing the cost of magic and the limitations of the magic. So like I said, I mentioned that each culture has a different magic ability. So let's say culture, there's the square culture, the circle culture, and the triangle culture. The square culture can walk through walls, the circle culture can fly, and the triangle culture can spit acid. I don't know, those are not what the abilities are, but now I'm going through and looking at, okay, so the square culture can walk through walls. What are limitations for that? How will that affect the society? Can they just, you know, they can't just walk through walls and like rob banks and stuff, can they? No. I need to figure out the limitations on that. So I'm gonna do that after I make a little snack. I think I'm just gonna make like a quick fruit salad. I have grapes, strawberries, and a banana. So I'm just gonna chop up this banana and the strawberries and just eat a little fruit salad. Yeah, I really wanna get the magic system right. I feel like it's just such a big part of the world that you're gonna pay attention to it if you read it, and you're going to notice like, hey, in chapter 5 they were able to do this, but in chapter 10 they weren't able to do that, or they were able to solve this problem, but in chapter 3 they tried to use the same type of magic and it didn't work. So I'm really trying to be methodical with what I'm putting into the story and what I'm creating as far as the magic system goes right now. Okay, so about like an hour has passed since I sat down to finish out fleshing out the magic system. I did not finish. I actually made not as much progress as I wanted to. Hi, so today is Thursday, June 29th. So I'm still working on my magic system, and at first it was a little hard. I think I was just struggling with coming up with a lot of the rules and limitations for the magic system. So I decided to do a little bit more research into hard magic systems and magic systems in general. And I finally got around to reading Brandon Sanderson's Laws of Magic. Okay, so his first law talks about soft versus hard magic systems, and I had already done a little bit of research to know that the magic system I'm creating is a hard magic system. So but I was still having trouble just fleshing things out. I had already created the powers. I already knew each culture's powers, but I was really having a hard time going deeper and like really figuring out, okay, how do these magic abilities affect the people, the society, the world? What's really going on here? Like, what's the deeper issue? I was having a really hard time doing that. It wasn't until I read his second law, which is all about the limitations versus powers, and how really good magic systems rely on limitations more than it relies on the powers themselves. You know, like you can have really cool powers, but if there aren't any limitations on them, then it's kind of like a boring story. And I already knew that, and I was already trying to come up with limitations, and I don't know, I feel like I was having like a mental block. Before, it was like this wall in front of in my brain, and as I was reading the first law and now the second law, we were slowly chipping away at the brick wall that was like blocking my brain waves. But it wasn't until I read this from him, and it says, in seeking limitations, look for things that have good ties to the nature of your world. Also look for things that will force your characters to stretch in solving problems. And duh, that was just a sentence that really just like clicked and unlocked this whole world of like ideas about the limitations for me. I don't know why, because that is such a simple sentence, but I think I just needed to read it in order for my brain to be like, okay, yes, this is what we're searching for, you know? Thought of something like a really good nugget for the book that has nothing to do with the powers or the limitations of the magic or anything with the magic. It has to do with like the plot, the storyline, and it just like randomly came to me while I was doing the limitations for the magic. So I'm at a really good pace right now for completing each of the limitations for the magic system and kind of wrapping this up. I also decided to give myself a deadline for plotting out this story, because eventually, you know, the goal is to start drafting it. The goal is to start writing it. So I'm going to give myself till November to be finished plotting. It's a lot of time to just plot a book for 5 months, but for me, I know myself and I know how good I want the story to be, and I'm just the type of writer that when I'm in the midst of writing, I do not want to have to stop and think about things. I need to have it all planned out. That way I can just like reference it, and that way it doesn't break my mode, you know. Like if I'm like really deep into a writing session and I'm like, oh wait, I have to make up this creature, I cannot do that. I cannot pull myself out of a writing sprint or anything like that. I'm really obsessive when it comes to things, so I need to just like go. And next I'm going to really be diving into my characters, and since this is a character driven story, or at least that's what I want it to be, I really want to take the time to really flesh out my characters, really get to know them, talk to them a little bit. I talk to myself a lot, so I know I'm going to like talk to my characters like out loud. I know I will do that. So yeah, I just really want to take my time with my characters and really understand who they are, and then I have to do the world building, which is scaring me so bad. The world building scares me so bad, and so that's what I'm really giving myself time to do. I'm really giving myself time to build this world and really just discover it, because like I'm making a world from my head, from scratch. Like there is nothing done about this world, nothing. I don't know what it looks like, I don't know the weather. Well, I will say this, I kind of do know like the region weathers, because each culture has like a region, so I kind of know that, but for the most part this is a blank world, and I feel like that's gonna take the longest amount of time. We have magic now. I was just making it too hard, you know. It was like the limitation did not have to be if you use your powers you're gonna die, you know. Like it could, I made my limitations much more subtle, but the cost, there still is a cost associated with using your power. So I think I did a good job of making the limitation believable, making it fit into the nature of my book like he said, but also making the cost high enough to where not everybody's using their powers all the time for whatever they want. Okay, I'm back. It's the next day, so it's June 30th, and something was just gnawing on my soul to not move on from my magic system onto like the character development, and just to stay with my magic system a little longer. So that's what I did. And as I was going through it, so this is my dilemma, okay. Each of the cultures, so the triangle, square, and circle cultures, they each have a power that is unique to them, unique to who they are as a culture, and it's really integral to the story, to the plot, that they have these different powers, magic, ability, whatever. So I need to like keep those there, but I also gave each culture about 2 to 3 other powers that they make sense, they go with the story, but do they have too many powers? You know, like I don't want it to be, I'm stuck between thinking like, okay, I want them to have these powers because each power really lends itself to the story. It adds something to the story. So I'm stuck between thinking, should they have all these powers? You know, is it really good world building? Does it add to having a rich world? Or is it too many powers, and am I making it easy to solve problems later on in the book because we can just use magic for it? You know what I mean? I'm really having to like question, what kind of book do I want to write? You know, do I want it to be easy? Do I want everybody to have all these amazing powers? Or do I want it to be challenging? And I'm making the hard decision. I know the decision I'm gonna make is that I want it to be challenging. This is a new adult book, not YA. So with new adult, to me, it's really about a transitional time in life. You know, you're not a young adult anymore. You're really thrown into a new perspective of society because you're now part of, you know, the adult world. And so just like in real life, when you become a new adult, you know, there are a lot of problems that you have in your life. There are a lot of problems that you cannot magically solve. And I really want this book to emulate that, really emulate the journey of being a new adult. Yeah, as I'm talking through it now, it feels good to say. I feel like this is the right thing to do. Now, how do I do this? I did think that for some of the powers, they don't actually have to be magic. It can be like a trait, you know what I mean? Like if a magic power was they can like think really fast or consume information really fast, it doesn't necessarily have to be a power. It could just be a trait, you know, like that's a real thing. People in the real world can process information fast. So why can't people in my book? You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, this is my magic power. So I think that's a good workaround that I'm gonna do. And then I'm hoping to be done with this today in order to start the character developments. Maybe not tomorrow. Tomorrow will be July 1st, but it is also Saturday, and I have a long weekend ahead from work. Like I don't have to work on Monday and Tuesday, so I may just keep my weekend to myself, you know, just to do things around my house. I just moved in, so I need to like unpack still. We've only been in here for this will be the second week, so still a lot of boxes to unpack. And then on Monday, which would be the 3rd, I may start on my character development. So yeah. Okay, so this is the end of my first writing vlog, first of many, hopefully. I'm at the really end of fleshing out my magic system, so I feel really good about where I'm at right now. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one, which will be all about character development.